We're gonna go ahead and call to order the city council regular meeting of June 9th. Bridget, will you do roll call for us?
Mayor Beasley,
Here.
Councilmember Seifert, present. Councilmember Kohler,
Here.
Councilmember Van Hees,
I'm here.
Councilmember Sander,
Present.
Councilmember Stravens.
Here.
Thank you.
Perfect. Let the meeting minutes reflect. And also, I do want to call out that the meeting minutes of the last meeting should also reflect that Dan did join us and participated in the conversation, so sorry about that. All right, we're gonna go ahead and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Sandra Hilson, could you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Council, I'm looking for approval of the meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Agenda, yeah, sorry. I'll get it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. We are honored today to have two local agency reports. First, we will be having Eric Robinson for the Spokane Valley Homeless Program. Please.
I'm his bodyguard.
I love it.
Thank you very much. Glad to join you. I'm Eric Robinson, Housing and Homeless Coordinator for the City of Spokane Valley, and with me is one of our two homeless outreach officers.
Deputy Dan Spiewak.
And so we've got a few slides to go through. We'll go through them fairly quickly and then have time for questions. And so we'll just start on slide 1, please. So just a little bit of background. For many years, the City of Spokane Valley didn't manage any of its own homeless funds. It was part of the county consortium, like many of the smaller cities throughout the county. In 2023, the city took over management of one pot of those funds, recording fee dollars, or sometimes called HHAA dollars. So it's a relatively small pot. It's about $350,000 to $400,000 a year, and it's what primarily pays for our outreach program right now. So with those funds, we began contracting with Frontier Behavioral Health to provide the social work component of our outreach program. And you can see the lengths of that contract right now going through mid-2027. It started with one outreach officer, and we expanded to a second outreach officer in early 2025, Officer Dan. And so now we have 7-day-a-week coverage with our officers, while our caseworkers provide 5-day-a-week coverage. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so this slide covers basically how we meet our clients. It comes in several different ways. We've got Eric here, and through context, people will come in to City Hall with requests. Is anybody here familiar with Q-Alert? Can you sum up Q-Alert quickly for me?
It's the city's website or phone. It's a portal for people to report concerns and try to get assistance, whether it be code enforcement or homeless concerns or broken sprinklers or whatever.
And to qualify, that is the City of Spokane Valley's website.
Only, yes, thank you.
Kind of works the same way. We have like a police dispatch system, so there's a little bit of duplication and whatnot. Sometimes folks, if they think maybe it's not super important, they will call Crime Check or 911. They'll go through Q-Alert, but either or. We get emails from Eric for that. We have our own police dispatch system where people call in about any and all sorts of things. Seeing a homeless person on the sidewalk, seeing a U-Camp, people camping on like DOT property along the highway. So that covers like the radio calls and then just direct contacts by the team. I get flagged down a lot. I used to give out a lot of business cards, but then people would skip Crime Check and just kind of call my cell phone all day, so I curtailed that a little bit. But yeah, any and all sources or folks are contacting us that way.
Yeah, and just one last point on that slide, that a lot of these cases, in order to reach a positive resolution, it takes quite a bit of time and follow-up. Our team is very good at achieving positive outcomes, but if someone's going to get housed, they very well might need a variety of important documents and may need to work on their credit and may need to do a variety of things leading up to that housing process, which can take years potentially. So this requires a lot of ongoing case management and assistance if you're going to reach positive outcomes.
I'll touch on that a little bit more when there's a, kind of the weight that I pull on the team. There's another slide, a couple slides up where I'll touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you. Next slide, please. So this is just a little section of the overall map we manage, and you can see a lot of those gray icons on there. Those are issues that have been mapped and addressed, and some of those colored icons are still maybe not totally resolved, or we haven't gone back to check in a while. So you can see we don't really do a lot within your city, but especially on the outskirts, you can see by the Union Pacific Railroad property, there's a large cluster of green and pink camps and things like that. And then the bridge crossing the Spokane River as well is a place where there's occasional camps. So this is just an example of the map that we're using throughout our city to manage and follow up on issues. If you can go to the next slide, please. So these next couple slides just have to do with some of the outcomes from our team for 2025. So these are statistics that are tallied by Frontier Behavioral Health team, and there's some overlap with the officers as we'll talk about. But you can see 323 unduplicated contacts per quarter. So they're seeing a lot of people. And then they have been able to help get people to a variety of positive outcomes. So you can see placed in long-term housing or respite care or transitional housing. One of those categories is family reunification or relocation. If someone has a place where they can be housed and it's not in Spokane, we can help, Spokane Valley, we can help get them there. So these are some of the outcomes from the team, as you can see. Next slide, please.
So again, what I was talking about with like the duplication here, we've got camps visited. 779 sounds like a big number. If you guys are thinking like what constitutes a camp, plain English. If somebody's sitting at the park with their shopping cart and it's all packed up, neat and tidy, we are not logging that as a camp. If they have strewn their items, around, then it looks like they're going to be there for a while, then we'll count that as a camp. Obviously, a tent, blanket, tarp, shelter, something like that, that's getting logged as a camp. And then, so for the citations as and arrests, like Eric said, the amount of effort that we're putting into these folks, it is not a one and done contact. Some of these people we have history with for years. There's lieutenants that have retired that know some of the people we're dealing with. And maybe in some of those instances, the best outcome, we're just trying to mitigate like their effects on the community and whatnot. Maybe they don't want to get housed. But that number with the citations and arrests, there are very few instances where we're contacting people and immediately arresting them. Almost nobody is being taken to jail. We're writing a paper citation. And it works on like an escalation basis. I'm giving them a lot of warnings. I'm offering them all the services. We have the social workers with. We kind of have the carrot and the stick model. It's, I didn't go to college, so that's the way I put it. They're getting the carrot a lot, and they're getting offered to go to the shelter to get treatment. We're buying them lunch. We're giving them food, sleeping bags, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then when I can lay my head on the pillow easily at night, realizing that, hey, this person probably doesn't want some help, or they're going to need a little bump, then I'm writing them a paper citation, and that has like the court date on it. They can go on their own to court to answer for that. And then again, if they crumple it up and they throw it away and they're not going to court and doing their thing, then maybe I'm escalating to like putting handcuffs on and taking them into jail. But there have been frequent instances where after towing someone's car that they were living in, impounding their car, and they had many warnings, or I arrested them, finally they were like, okay, forget it. Like, what can you do for me? And I'll take you up on that. And then the last number, that's the radio calls for service responded to. If there's some sort of nexus to homelessness, we're logging that as a radio call for service. Now that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to like an unlawful camping situation. That could be like a trespass or maybe even a theft. But if it's one of my clients, as I call it, then that's how we got that big of a number.
Thank you. Next slide, please. So this is the data that I'm responsible for keeping, and this is the data that comes from that map. You can see in 2025 how many various points we logged, and not all were addressed, but that's a different chart. But you can see some of these are definitely not homeless related. I mean, graffiti generally isn't a homelessness issue. Trash or garbage often is not. Sometimes it's dumping. Shopping carts may or may not be related to homelessness, but obviously some of those occupied RVs, other occupied vehicles, camps, quite clearly are. And you can see from the numbers, throughout the course of a year, we definitely have a lot of issues that we address. Most of those issues are on public property, city property, right-of-way and parks primarily. Another good portion are on other governments' properties like DOT, DNR, etc. And then about a quarter of the issues we encounter on private properties, which of course provide a variety of challenges when dealing with it. You can't just walk onto a private property and address a camp. There's rules about those sorts of things. So that just reflects, some of the challenges we face. A lot of those are on railroad property, which is a unique private property owner to work with, given their size and scale. They're often not really available to hear from the smaller cities about the issues we're dealing with. It's very hard to get responses from them. But there's just an idea of what we're dealing with. Next slide, please. So these last two slides are some of the trends and challenges we're seeing, and I suspect that your city is seeing these as well. So one of the biggest is the number of people that we don't see on the street that are experiencing homelessness, and they don't necessarily come to mind, but it's the vast majority of people out there that are experiencing homelessness. So these would be people that might be staying on a friend's couch or spending their savings in a hotel, or parents went to one place and kids went to another without a fixed primary nighttime residence. In the city of Spokane Valley, maybe some of you saw this article in the Spokesman some months back. Last year, the 3 school districts counted over 1,100 kids that didn't have a primary nighttime residence just in Spokane Valley. So they have non-school age siblings and they have caregivers. So that's several thousand people just in Spokane Valley that don't have a primary place to sleep at night. So we're talking, we might have 50, 60, 70 people on the street in RVs and tents, and then we've got a few thousand that you do not see that don't have a stable residence. So we see those numbers in the school stats, the service numbers for our partners, say Partners Inland Northwest and their food pantry. I mean, they continue just to serve more people every month. Evictions setting records across the state. SNAP benefits, food benefits, and insurance changes into subsidies are impacting a number of families as well. Housing costs have moderated, but they're still not low. And to point out that about 25% of the people that our outreach team works with do have some sort of income. Often that's Social Security and disability, so those are households that are not likely to earn more. You can't say go out and get a job. That's not an option for a senior with a disability, or for example. So for those types of situations, when they have an income that's not likely to increase and that income is not enough to pay for what they need, there's very few options that we have available, unfortunately, for those types of households. And last slide, please.
So one of the challenges here continued. Obviously, we don't have any shelters in Spokane Valley, and I don't believe there are any in Millwood, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Eric. There's an ebb and a flow to the shelter game. It's not always weather dependent. Sometimes they lose funding. In the winter, they'll open up more beds, cold weather beds. People can sleep on the floor. They don't want them freezing out on the street. But there are times when I have to tell folks that do want to go to a shelter, hey, I don't have an option for you. Sit tight. So we'll couple that with there's no location. The next bullet, there's no location in the entire county where a person can legally sleep in a vehicle or camp out on private property. So some of these folks that do want some help or do want to move towards housing, they have an RV, they have 4 pit bulls, 6 cats. They're taking care of grandma who's living in the whatever you can think of, they have it. And just today's the day, right now, I can't give you all the help you need right now. The social workers go home a little early, maybe Eric's not in, and I'm doing all that on my own. So I can't legally tell that person, hey, you're going to be okay here tonight, because I go home at 6 p.m. every day, and the public has an expectation that the laws are enforced, so they're calling in, hey, this person's been camping out here for X amount of time. I can't guarantee that person in that RV that the police that come out later that night aren't going to enforce the law, right? It's a weird position we're in right now. We kind of just work around it. And then moving on, the encampments on private property and under government property, you could think players that don't really have a stake in the area. I think the railroad property, that's a big one, or a commercial property that's underdeveloped. Everybody's familiar with where the Dave & Buster's is, and that green belt that's next to there. So that's a commercial property. They just haven't developed it yet, but people aren't calling 911 on the people camping in there. It's not really a U-camp law. It's more of a trespassing thing, but if they're not calling in, there's one homeless outreach officer per day. It's a big county or a big city. Sometimes those areas will build up, and then typically you're gonna start seeing nuisance crimes accumulating in there, so we're just trying to keep a tab on everything. That's kind of one of the big problems there. So, questions?
Yeah, that's up for our slide. So any questions we can try to answer?
Tell us about this, no location that you can stay in a camper overnight.
Yeah.
Unless it's an RV park.
Yeah, that's right. And many RV parks have rules about the age and condition of the RV. And who's the registered owner. And sometimes, so if you're not a registered owner or it's an older RV, that's not even an option. So the truth is we just don't have anywhere to tell people to go. We have found, moms in cars with kids, and we don't have anywhere to tell them to go.
So, but if they had permission from the landowner, could it be?
No,
Be private property.
but still, no, you can't sleep in your vehicle on private property even with permission. At least in the city of Spokane Valley, you can't. In the city of Spokane, I don't know about Millwood or the unincorporated.
So as you guys recall, last year, the council did ratify to come and comply. We are the same as Spokane Valley and the same as Spokane County in regards to, public encampment. I believe with the parking, ordinance that we did last year, there is some differences between like 15 days and this, that, and the other, 30 contiguous days or 30 days. So there is a little bit of difference. Public stuff though, like a tent in a park, that is
I can
completely
understand
consistent
that.
with them.
I'm kind of surprised that if a family member came over in their camper and wanted to, visiting, that they,
Sir, I completely agree, and I say that, maybe, I won't comment maybe on how well the law was written or whatnot. I will say the reason I'm paid very well is they train me to use discretion. So I do, weigh each thing on like a case-by-case basis, yeah.
It seems like that's a little bit of overkill. I mean, if the homeowner, or the property owner says, yes, spend the night with us. No, have a couple more beers and drive Idaho. That's not a good idea.
Yeah, and I will say, I know there are some exceptions for, you can get a special use permit, say you're having an event or you're remodeling your house and you need to live in the RV. So there's some cases in which you can get permission, but by and large, no. I can't say, hey, stay in your car on my property tonight. So even though we don't necessarily always enforce that, those are followed up on when neighbors complain. We don't go out looking for that. So there's a chance that no one complains. So there are people living on private property with permission in vehicles. We know that's true. If it's not drawing complaints, we're not looking for it. So we know it does happen, but I can't tell someone, hey, it's okay to go there, which presents a problem when we're trying to work with someone. Say, well, where should I go? And I say, I don't know.
Thank you, Dan. Any other questions? Well, I want to thank, go ahead.
I was just gonna say no questions, but thank you for what you do.
Yeah,
I wish there was more out there for these people, especially the kids.
yeah.
Seriously.
Absolutely. So I thank both Eric and the deputy for coming out. Actually, Eric and I have been part of the Spokane Valley Resource Council together and such. And when I found out this was actually covered a little bit for Millwood, one of my things since January has been trying to identify the services that we do have available to us. And so I really do appreciate your time to come out. But I do want to emphasize, always call Crime Check if you see something, because if you don't get it on the register, then it doesn't exist.
And we tell that to people in the city of Spokane Valley as well. If it needs a police response, that is absolutely the best way to get a response, is Crime Check or an emergency 911.
Yeah.
Letting the city know, letting the caseworkers know is great, but it doesn't have the same sort of paper trail and follow-up as when you call Crime Check. So that really is the best way to get a police response if you need one.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, gentlemen, for
Thanks
what
for having
you're
us.
doing. Beautiful. And as an extension of us looking at what kinds of services we have beyond our beloved Deputy Ball, I've also invited Sandra Hilson from Scope to come out, and she has a partner to join her.
Well, I'd like to introduce you to the director of Scope.
Wow, thank you very much.
She's gonna give the presentation because she knows so much more than I.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. Get up here with me, lady.
And Director Chris, correct?
Yes,
This is
Chris.
okay.
Yeah.
This is Chris Conway.
Yes.
I'm the president for downstairs chapter, so
Yep.
she's the director. So I'm
Hi.
just
Thank
gonna
you,
let-
Chris.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. We're excited to be here. And of course, Sandra Hilson doing an amazing job downstairs at our Millwood Scope Station. So this is my small little presentation, and then I'll have questions at the end. But Scope, so we are Sheriff Community Oriented Policing Effort. Next slide, please. We are Spokane County volunteers and a nonprofit organization. So we are supporting public safety mission with the Spokane County Sheriff's Office. Scope has, I'm excited to say, as of today, 14 Scope stations. We just signed an agreement with Airway Heights, and we're going to be moving into the Airway Heights area, so we're really excited about that. And they're independently ran with presidents such as Sandra and volunteers to provide public safety programs, services, and communities in the communities. Our mission is to foster community spirit, to help provide a safe living environment in the communities we serve, and to increase citizens' awareness and get involved in the community-oriented public safety in partnership with the Spokane County Sheriff's Office. In our vision, Scope believes that that if law enforcement and our citizens work together towards a common goal, we can promote, as a team, we can promote public safety and prevent crime. This is, I'm not sure, a couple years ago, you heard about the big vehicle abatement up in Green Bluff. Over 700 cars up there a gentleman had. It took a year to get the search warrant and 7 days to get 700 cars out of there. He had probably 1,000, but we got at least 700 out of there at the time. He has recently just accumulated some more, so we did it again last year and got about 100 cars out of there, but our Scope volunteers were involved in that, getting those out, so that was pretty exciting. We have approximately 200 volunteers, and we continue to grow. We have 12 applicants right now in the queue going through the hiring process for Scope. So volunteers typically work in stations closest to their homes, so they can call it their home station, so they can work in the station, keep the station open as a resource for our citizens. And then volunteers do record their hours each month, so we can keep track of that. As you know, volunteers take pride in performing duties whenever and wherever needed for the Sheriff's Office and the communities. So, this is our staff. There's only 4 paid staff. The rest are all volunteers. I'm Chris Conway. Margaret Asbell is our program manager. She makes sure all the stations are run, and whatever they need, she helps them out with. Steve Kegg, he is our CERT coordinator. CERT was helped you in Millwood with your tree lighting this year. Always a pleasure to be there. And then we are in the process of hiring a neighborhood watch coordinator. She is going through the process right now. Hopefully she'll be on board within the month. So we're excited about that. Scope offers over 20 different programs and resources and that have been created to help prevent crime and keep our community safer. You saw the map that they were showing where they show the homeless. We also work with that same map that shows us where the graffiti spots are. So we have a graffiti team that goes out, assesses the situation, helps that citizen clean up the back of their garage or anything like that. Or if we identify that there's a lot due to the winter and there's a lot of graffiti that got tagged out there, right now there is quite a bit, so we are gonna schedule a 1-day community graffiti cleanup. So if anybody wants to get involved in that, we take volunteers. A couple years ago we did that. We had over 70 volunteers from churches and banks and then Scope volunteers, and we cleaned up 19 locations that day. So it's better if we get it all cleaned up in 1 day and then we can maintain. So that'll be coming at the end of July. We'll be doing that. CERT is one of our most popular programs. This is our incident response team. This is where about 15 individuals get extensive more training, and they're on call and they get called out. It doesn't matter their shift, 24 hours, any time of day or night, any weather condition, to block off the roadways for the deputies in fatalities, fires, you name it, they're out there. And it shows you that they've had 174 on-scene hours, and a total of 2,851 total hours. When they're on call, they are on call. They have to be ready and available within that 15-minute dispatch. 15 minutes out the door once they're dispatched. So their standby hours, they've given 2,447 hours of that. Another one is, I'm sure you see our scope car down below. Citizens go out on Citizens on Patrol. They're just driving through the neighborhood, calling in any suspicious activity. We do school patrol where we sit and just be a deterrent for speeders in the school areas. We do Centennial Trail Patrol, either walking or on bikes. And that so far to date, we've had 1,500 hours logged in that. And this just gives you the more additional programs that we do: bike safety helmet fitting in schools. We do business relations where we go and we talk to the businesses. We let them know that we are driving around at night. We are just looking at your business for any suspicious activity. We call that in. Any community service events such as your tree lighting, the City of Spokane Valley's tree lighting. We do Valley Fest and a multitude of things. Disabled parking. We have a team that was individual volunteers are limited commission through the sheriff's office, so they can drive through parking lots, Walmart, Costco, any apartment complex, and look for disabled parking violations. We tend to just warn that instead of give tickets, give warning and educate, because that's a $450 ticket and we don't want to do that. So we just warn and educate on that. Emergency radio communication, where we are setting up with our neighborhood watch programs. We're hoping with the captains we can get them involved, that everybody can get a little handheld radio in their neighborhoods in case the cell service ever goes out. They would have a handheld radio that they can dispatch into our scope volunteers, and we can dispatch any emergency services they need. So that is a work in progress, but that's going to be exciting once we get that rolled out. Operation Family ID, that is where we go to schools and events and we photograph and fingerprint the kiddos, and all the information goes home with the parents. So God forbid if anything ever happened to the child, they can give that packet right to the law enforcement, and they have all their fingerprints and their photographs and all their information immediately. Radar watch, you've seen the radar trailers all around. We have volunteers that dispatch those, and those camera on wheels, they call cows, the ones with the cameras on the top. We have volunteers that drive those around and dispatch them out, working with the traffic deputy. And then we just have volunteers that work the sheriff's front desk downtown, and anytime the sheriff or the chief of the City of Spokane Valley calls and says, hey, we have this special project, can you do it? We really try to gather our troops, which are phenomenal, and we get their special project done. And then we do traffic control, like I said, for many multiple events. Next slide. These are just the scope vehicles that you'll see around, and our CERT vehicle. So they're driving around, so if you see them, wave to them. They're more than happy. They love it. Next slide. Yeah. And then this is what we post, and we're trying to get this out all the time, is that we're always needing volunteers. And we do have cards that have those with the scan bar that takes you right to the application. Anything to add?
I think that's great.
Perfect.
And that's it. Is there any
Thank
questions?
you very much. Yes, council, is there questions?
No.
No, thank you.
Well, wow.
Thank
Good.
you.
Great.
Appreciate
Thank you.
everything
Yes.
do for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to other presentations. Matt Gillis to talk about the FDR.
Good evening, Council, Madam Mayor, Matt Gillis, Walsh Comer Engineers. We all know each other pretty well. With me is Eric Durpo. You probably recognize Eric. He was the man in the trenches, literally sometimes, during the last summer's Argonne project. So he was riding hard on the contractor every day, all day. he will be out on this project as well. So just for consistency, familiarity with staff, Eric knows the businesses, the players, and so, yeah. So as I go through some of this, feel free to ask either of us any questions. I'm gonna talk about a couple of things. Go ahead, Bridget, if you don't mind, thank you. One is, I think just right before we start, at the end of this month, I think it'd be helpful just to make sure you understand the scope and you understand what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a little bit different than the last project, probably even more disruptive, just because of the nature of the work, which we'll get into. And then you've got two contracts on the agenda, one with the contractor, Shamrock, so Millwood and Shamrock, and then Millwood and Welch Comer. Happy to talk through those as well. First, this project, which we're calling the Argonne Rehabilitation, is funded by TIB. The Transportation Improvement Board is a wonderful, wonderful funding agency. Has been very good to Millwood over the years. It's a state agency, light on their feet, great to work with. The scope that they've funded is three primary things. Instead of us coming in and tearing out the whole road and putting the whole road back in, we're rehabilitating it. And the detail of that is we're gonna strip the asphalt off. Then we're gonna come in and think about it like a rototiller. They're gonna come in, mix up about 8 inches of the material, add cement and water so it cures. So you have a pseudo concrete layer, and then we'll pave over the top of that. So instead of excavating 30 inches, we're excavating about half that. Faster, less expensive, but equal quality. We'll also need to upgrade several ADA pedestrian ramps just because there's new standards nowadays with respect to ADA requirements. And then one of the triggers that helped the city get this funding was the pedestrian hybrid beacon at Buckeye. You can go to the next one. You've probably seen these around. So where there is not a traffic signal, like at Buckeye, and we want to provide a safe crossing, this is a step far above the RRFBs that you see that are actuated and they just blink the yellow lights, they're at street level. This is overhead, this is more formal, more like a traditional traffic signal. So that is part of the project. We were able to award that. It was an ad alternate, but bids came in favorably, very much so, and so we were able to include that. I have, over the last few months, I've started referring to this project as a traffic control project with a little bit of road construction.
True.
Because it's going to be intense because of the nature of what we're trying to do and the volume of traffic and the proximity to Trent. And so I'm just going to walk through the phases very quickly. The first phase, just so we can have an opportunity to shift traffic back and forth across Argonne, we need to remove those concrete curbs. So those will come out, they'll be put back in, but during construction, they'll come out. And then phase two, simplest way to think about it, we'll shift all the traffic over to the west side. We'll have one lane in each direction, and we'll build the east side of the road. I'm oversimplifying a little bit, but I'll get into the weeds if you'd like. You just tell me. And then phase three, we'll just flop that. We'll shift the traffic to the east side, build the west side. And then finally, phase four, there's just a little bit of fill-in work right up at the railroad because of some weaving that we have to do. Pretty small. So those are the four primary elements. Any questions on that? Hopefully it's not a surprise at this point.
So is it better to go flip-flop across the east and west lanes than go inner and outer like we did down here previously?
We did down here only at the railroad.
I mean, like in 2009.
Right, I know what you're saying. We did a similar.
Okay.
Similar. We have to do the in and out at the railroad because we got to have railroad crossing protection.
Right.
So that's why we have phase four. So other notable items from a schedule standpoint, I have, even though they're not under contract, we're starting to work with Shamrock, your contractor, a bit, passing back and forth some information. They anticipate starting last week of June, and that would, with a 50 working day or a 70 calendar day project, that gets them about mid-September. We will accelerate that if we can, but contractually, that's what they have to do. Go ahead. This is one of the most important parts of the project. During last summer's federal aid project, we required the contractor, thankfully, to have a public liaison. And we were specific. We don't mean Joe from the backhoe jumps out of his backhoe and talks to businesses. No, this is a dedicated public liaison that comes to the project. I think it was 2 or 3 times a week, talks to people, hands out flyers, gives updates, and then we work with that liaison to make sure that the public is informed, because that was very important. And I think fairly successful. I think the public felt informed. And then businesses are open, certainly to all pedestrian access. There will be limited vehicular access. That's the nature of redoing Argonne. Any questions so far? Nothing so far. Okay, next slide. So that's the scope of the project coming, starting at the end of June. Eric will be out there every day, all day. As far as our contract is concerned, the items that we do are all those items on that screen. But what I wanted to point out is ultimately what our service to the city is, go ahead, Bridget, is ensuring that the contractor is building the project in accordance with the contract that you have with them. So there's all kinds of requirements in there that we have to enforce. And sometimes there's tough discussions, which is fine, but we all get through it. And then the other part of that, go ahead, is the outreach portion. It's kind of separate from the contractor, but we'll, like the project last summer, we'll be issuing either a weekly or bi-weekly newsletter just to get out the changes and to help people know what's coming. Anything to add so far?
No, just that I'm excited to work with Millward again, and I appreciate you having me here tonight, and yeah, I'll be available if anybody needs anything.
Will we be doing the pre-walk? I know we have the pre-con meeting on Thursday, but I know Eric, myself, and Public Works actually went and walked the corridor last year. Will we be doing that as well?
I think we should do that once we get the contractor on board,
Perfect.
because they need to attend.
Perfect.
We do have I should have mentioned this, we have our pre-construction meeting with them scheduled for Thursday morning, which we will likely do a walk after the project. And at that meeting, we talk about the schedule. That's the big one, the schedule, the expectations, the content. Who do I call 24 hours a day when something goes wrong out here? Or, Kyle as well. So Kyle's not getting all the phone calls. So we'll hammer out a lot of those details on Thursday morning. Is that my last slide? Yeah, that's my last slide.
Thank you. Any questions for Matt? I know we've been talking about it for years, so I'm sure it's already embedded in your head.
We just need our patrols on Vista and Sargent.
Absolutely.
And a big ticket.
There will be some traffic restrictions, like you can probably understand why we need to prohibit left turns. Because we've got 2 lanes of traffic, just one car wanting to turn left is gonna make a bad situation worse. And so we're trying to keep as much of that flow moving as possible.
From my standpoint, that's the essential piece with the newsletter and the liaison, is because even when the newsletter comes out weekly, as we know, sometimes things change and people want to know daily, where are we at, what roads will I not have access to today, so.
So where do we officially start on the south end? It's not at Trent, it's back a little ways.
Well, if the contractor, let me back up one step. The contractor has the ability to say, hey, we have a better idea for phasing and traffic control, and we will entertain that. And if we think it's better, great, let's do your plan. but I think they're probably going to accept our plan. So the first thing they do is set up all the traffic control after they've notified everybody, and then they'll tear out those curbs down by Trent so that they can shift all the traffic over to the west side.
So
they
it'll
can
be
really
one
s-
lane to Trent.
Yes. Yeah, it'll be one lane north and one lane south all the way through Millwood. And that traffic control sequencing and signing will extend into Spokane Valley, which they are aware of. But
Great questions. More intensive for sure, way shorter window. As you could see, we will be in and out hopefully with the 50 work days and 70 calendar days. Did you have anything else, Dan?
No, I'm just, today, as Kelly's mentioned, I mean, the traffic on Argonne is greatly increased.
Absolutely.
When I was coming from up to my Holy Family, that's where my appointment was,
Yeah.
and we stopped on upriver, cause it was bumper to bumper from there all down.
I agree 100%. Now, I do want to remind us, the last time we did an FDR, I was in high school, so, it still needs to be done sometimes.
5 years ago?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, Brian. But yeah, so and I've really enjoyed being part of the conversations with both Kyle and Matt, because I think we have a good plan. Once it's done and we stay up with the maintenance on the chip seal, and these gentlemen have really got the flywheel going with TIB, I think we've bought ourselves potentially another, 30 plus years, but yeah. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
you're welcome.
So obviously you've already approved the project. I will be executing on the contracts that he has included here, and unless you have any more questions, we can move on.
Great Bloomsday shirt, by the way. I have the same one from ages ago.
I think they were already approved. I thought, didn't we decide that it's already approved, so. Yeah, we approved. Or do you feel like
No,
you're the lawyer?
No, let's revisit if we need to.
So,
I think we
Yeah.
approved it.
yeah,
We
it's,
didn't- we said don't sign it though, right?
exactly. So this has already been through, we've approved it, we have not, I've not executed on it yet, so I don't think we need to ask, but if we've determined that we should have asked you again, this has been an approved project and we've included you on every step of the way, including the change in funding last month. So that's my standpoint. Wonderful. No executive session, cause I wanna get you all out in time, and there's nothing thankfully that we need to discuss. We have no actions for first reading because we have only second touch, and then we have one action item that I'm gonna request that we can move on just because it came up this month, and I would like you to consider it, but you can always move it back. So that moves us on to action items for consideration. First, we have the consent agenda, and I do, our acting treasurer has asked me to pull the April 26th dashboard. That is a draft that got submitted, and so those numbers are not 100% solidified, so I'm gonna request that we go ahead and pull that from consideration from the consent agenda, and then approve the consent agenda as accepted. Did you have anything?
No.
Okay. Do I have,
I'll move approval of the consent agenda as amended with the dashboard withdrawn.
Second.
thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Wonderful. We did bring back the credit card policy to you all. It has all the changes that you've made. There's only one thing that I kind of still had a question on. Per the finance committee's on page 4, functionally 4 of the thing, it says, please make reference to the applicable IRS policies. At one time, this said like link to a specific policy. Those are evergreen and always, they're constantly changing. And so we just wanted to make a reference if somebody were to pull this, that they did understand that there was applicable IRS policies, but we did not call out the name of it. Everything else should reflect, to the best of our understanding, the changes you all proposed, including removal of the branding Fuel Man card. Are there questions or any discussion around our credit card policy? Seeing no discussion, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution credit card policy change.
Perfect.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Wonderful, and just a quick update, the finance committee is still working on the procurement, it's sitting with Sean now, who we're very thankful for his expertise. All right, public hearing for the 6-year STIP.
So I'm bringing this back to you this month, basically identical to last month, with the one minor exception on line item 4, the Liberty chip seal. Along with the chip seal and the traffic calming lane narrowing, there was a couple public comments that triggered a request for maybe like a potential rumble strip or something before the crosswalks. So you can see that I added to the end of that a rumble strip with added to the crosswalks. I did a little bit of brief research into it, talked to one of the engineers for Spokane County. Apparently they had a intersection, I can't recall where it was at. It was a bad 3-way intersection and somebody lost their life in a T-bone or something. And they wanted to do rumble strips leading up to a stop sign. They don't have the pavement cutting process to do that. They found one company in Yakima that had the ability to do it. Said it was fairly expensive. I think it was 10 grand to do 3 little strips leading up to it. And he also said that they didn't recommend doing it on a chip sealed road. I'm not sure if that's because you're, actually cutting your sealant and creating a susceptible edge there or not, but I have to look more into it. I don't think it's a total no-go or anything, but it seems like there might be more cost and complications involved versus, justifying doing it. So we'll just have a little more discussion on that. Anyway, I added it to it just so it's covered. But that is the only thing that we changed since last month.
Appreciate that, Kyle. Are there any questions? I do want to let you know that he has also been working with Dan and Kelly and the Public Works Committee to advance this.
So is this going to be a public hearing now?
That's such a great question.
Yes.
I'm sorry, should I have read us in before he gave the presentation?
Nope, you go ahead and ask for open the public hearing, announce the time and after the presentation.
I'm gonna go ahead and open public hearing at, I'm so sorry, I don't have glasses on, 6:47. Are there any public comments in regards to the STIP? I will leave us open for public hearing for 1 minute and then we will close. All right, it looks like it's 6:48 now. I will go ahead and close public hearing, hearing no comments. Thank you, Councilmember Sanders. So unless there's any discussion, I think we're looking for action today.
Make a motion to approve the 6-year TIP plan.
I'll second.
Okay. We're taking action right now for the TIB plan, STIP, the 6-year transportation plan. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? So moved. I do wanna give you guys a caveat because I know it's come up 2 years in a row, that the STIP on their thing is called 2025 to 2027 plan, and then if you look at the actual ordinance, it says 2027 to, so that is the difference between a legal ordinance and the functional plan that has to be addressing the year that we're in now. So that will continue to come up every year. We looked at the historic, apparently there was a robust conversation around that last year, so I was gonna mention we can look forward to that every year coming up.
We modify it every year.
Yeah, we don't modify it, cause at this point, if we modified it, we would be creating two ordinances of the same. So moving on to the next thing, it is the Spokane County Urban Consortium recertification. It is the committee that Councilmember Sean Culler belongs to. Every year they reach out, and this isn't even asking for a new contract. This is just asking me, the county came up and said, hey, we realized that you guys were hadn't re-upped your desire to be part of the consortium. This allows us to be part of the collective potential fund excitements, and then it allows for Councilmember Culler's seat or a Millwood representative. And all they're asking is that I send a letter requesting that we have continued membership into 2026. And so I'm just asking you today if you could go ahead and approve that there's not an actual ordinance or contract. Are you okay?
I make a motion to approve the urban consortium. Yeah, that. It's a recertification.
That thing. Shauna can send a letter out to the county.
I'll second that.
Perfect. So, we have before us a vote for for me to send out a letter to the Spokane County Urban Consortium recertification. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. I'll sign that tomorrow. Thank you. We're already to staff reports, guys. Woohoo. So Kyle, you're on.
I don't think I'm first, am I?
Oh, I apologize. Yep, you're right. I turned the page. I'm sorry. Aaron, you are on.
And first off, I'd like to apologize on the April 2026 dashboard that it's a manual process and my changes to the spreadsheet were not saved on the front sheet. So that's what went on there. We got the SAO filing submitted to the state on time. There was a few things that I had to adjust. There were a couple of reclassifications of expenses. I had to redo a prior system entry related to a funds transfer that happened back in I want to say it was September. I'd have to look at the records to state for certain, but it was relatively clean. And now we move on to audit. The audit process has been engaged. We have a preliminary timeframe for that audit engagement. Early August is the timeframe for it. And, you know, I expect it to be relatively smooth. In addition, the annual PUG grant filing was submitted successfully. And we should be expecting the Department of Commerce's response here shortly and hopefully a check soon following. So that's what I have.
Wonderful. Just to explain the PUG funding, because I don't know that we've ever talked about it publicly, Amanda is going for a $200,000 grant for us to get some park planning and development, and it would put us on queue for another one. So that has been an exceptional find for Amanda to do. So crossing our fingers for that. Are there any questions for Aaron? Thank you very much. And Bridget, I apologize, I almost skipped you as well.
All right, so backflow tests have been coming in consistently the last few weeks. Josh has been focusing on inputting the results into the system. Reminder that tests are due on June 15th. 2 records requests have been completed. We have a new request that has been received. So I've been coordinating with Savannah on getting responsive records created and out for that. For code enforcement, we are monitoring a new citizens action request for another possible RV being used as a dwelling unit. I have been coordinating with Amanda on processing home business licenses and endorsements, so some of you may know. And the Beautification and Tree Board has a meeting on the books for June 30th at 6 p.m.
Wonderful. Are there any questions for Bridget? Perfect, thank you. Kyle, now I've turned my page, it's on to you.
So I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but on our northeast corner of Argonne and Empire, there's some damage. I can make it a longer story, but probably nobody wants to sit through it. So Midland had forgot to run some wire to energize our Rainbird controller that's over there to do all our landscaping. So they came back, ran wire. We were supposed to get it inspected by LNI or whatever the very next day, and we come in that morning and everything's smashed to heck. Well, did some research and stuff and found out that somebody from IEP had pictures of everything. Car drove through it. Later to find out, the car didn't drive through it, the car rolled through it because it fell off a trailer. Obviously wasn't strapped down, wasn't in park, and the e-brake wasn't on because it came off the trailer, probably going over the bump on the railroad tracks, and rolled all the way through there, up over the curb, through the fence, smashed the heck out of our brand new Rainbird controller, and came to rest against the concrete little stub wall that's there. So Brian recommended I reach out to WCIA to go after him because they'd have more pull than him or I would. Did not work whatsoever. Going after him myself, and I bring that up a little bit later in my topic here. So but that's what happened there. Went up to Colville to a TIB funding workshop, and I met the new project engineer for the eastern side of the state that will be replacing Andrew. Seems like a real legit guy. Had a good conversation after the meeting was over. Andrew had been very instrumental, like Matt had said. He's been extremely instrumental in all the funding on both these Argonne projects, the Empire chip seal and traffic calming, and many other projects before I even took over. So I'm hoping that this close partnership continues on with his replacement. I had Welch Comer putting out application letters for the next few topics on our STIP, which are the grind and overlays on Argonne from Frederick to South Riverway, the chip seal and traffic calming on Liberty, and the chip seal on Marguerite. That would be all stuff that we're wanting to get in funding for 2027. The applications have to be in by the 31st of July, and we will know if we got any awards on that stuff by, I believe, late November. In other news, Matt and I got the temporary speed bumps installed all the way across the street at Empire and Fowler. I hired a gentleman named Tyler who will be our seasonal park worker this year. He started last week. I've been gathering all the necessary information from our lifeguards for their background checks and making sure that they have their updated first aid certs. The guys have been fertilizing all the green spaces around town. We've had 2 significant windstorms since we last met, and on both occasions had a tree completely down across 2 roads and plenty of other large branches blocking various roads and sidewalks around town that we had to cut up and haul off. You probably don't remember, but I've been waiting for a new trail light pole for about 10 or 11 months now. Finally came in a couple weeks ago. It was supposed to be they're tan. Yeah, this one's black. So I called and complained, and they're not gonna charge me for it. And the vendor I had to go through routing me through a different distributor to get me another pole. The shipping on that pole was $1,900. The pole was $1,200. So they don't want the pole back. So what I did is I went down and got some paint matched to match the rest of our poles, and since I may know a guy that knows how to spray automotive paint, I'm gonna paint it, and we're gonna put that one in. I'll get a hold of an electrical contractor, we'll get that one in the ground, and then in another 10 months or whenever the next pole comes in, we'll have a spare for if anything ever happens again. So we got 2 for the price of 1. AAA has started doing an annual street cleaning on Monday. That's kind of a customary thing for us this time of year. On Friday, I did a walkthrough with a subcontractor for WCIA, and we went around to all our properties, talked about all the upgrades we'd done to said properties since 2021, which is the last time they were out. I also brought up the newly acquired property there along IEP. That was the problem, is the first thing out of WCIA's mouth is, well, is it on our property call-out sheet? And I'm like, I don't know. So they looked into it, apparently it wasn't. I talked to this guy, and we went and he took pictures up and down, and he's like, well, since we have additional assets in the right-of-way there, you know, with the controller and the fence and all the decorative light posts and stuff, he took documentation, and he's gonna refer back to WCI and see if it needs to be insured as more than just, you know, bulk right-of-way like we have everywhere else. So I'm sure I'll hear back from that here soon. And that's why I was basically on my own to I got a hold of that guy's insurance, started a claim. It was Geico. They've been great to work with so far, so that's good. And I think Aaron and I should be hopefully receiving a check sometime in the next week or so, probably. So, and last but definitely not least, we started hanging our Patriotic and America 250 banners on the east side of Argonne today. I don't know if anybody got a chance to see those yet. And we will continue doing those throughout the week until they're all done. We have a couple of them right along the concrete barriers there that we aren't gonna be able to do ourselves because our equipment, the outriggers wanna fold out too far, there's not enough space there, so I think I got our Spokane County signalization guy with his bucket truck. He's gonna come out after the pre-con meeting. He'll join us on Thursday. We're hopefully gonna go get those two up, and then we should be able to do everything on the west side of this road.
Do you think we'll have them up by the weekend?
We absolutely will have them out by the weekend if it's the last thing I do. I think that's all I got.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Do you guys have any questions for Kyle? Excellent. Matt?
Okay, all the water samples came back good again this month. Lilac sprinklers were out and they got all the backflow tested. I updated our PCSI and got that sent in. I made up an Excel worksheet of all the addresses in town to check for leaks inside of meter vaults. So me and Bryce will be going out this summer and looking at all the meters and checking for leaks in there and replacing them as we see them. Bigfoot was out and reset, made sure all of our alarms were working at all our wells. And they also put a new UPS battery back up at Butler. We had one and for some reason there wasn't one in there, so got that put in. And then sewer, RC Worst will be out on the 16th to install that new panel on Station 3. So we'll be all updated on that.
Thank you, Matt. Do you have any questions? Yes, please.
So, I do have an appointment with Lilac City. They call, finally call back. They called me because I had called and left a message for them, but I had the wrong number. Yeah, so, or the sheet had the wrong number. So anyway, they call and say, don't you want this done this year? I said, yeah. I was wondering, June 5th is coming real quick. So, anyway, I have it scheduled.
Good.
Excellent. Any other questions? Perfect. Well, you have Amanda's presentation, which she also gave us a pre-meeting and stuff. So please feel free to follow up with me or her on any of these items. Brian, do you have any legal stuff you would like to go over?
Nothing that hasn't already been addressed or presented to council. Appreciate it. Happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. Any questions for Brian? Perfect. On to my mayor's report. So July is upon us, and believe it or not, it's already budget season. So my goal for next year, or for next meeting on July 14th, is that we will be going over the budget to actuals for this year now, and hopefully getting a chance to look at where do we sit, position ourselves, potentially maybe asking for consideration first read request of a potential budget amendment. I also plan on presenting my evolving staffing plan to you all. I know that each of you have been included in those conversations, but hopefully we'll have first touch on that as well. And I also plan on having a memo prepared for you that has just kind of some generalized market, economic forecast, what the different priorities are, and of course our priorities, budgeting priorities should always be driven by our strategic priorities. So I submit to you today, I plan on adopting for 2027 the strategic theme of built for the next 100 years. And it is our centennial anniversary or birthday. And that would really cover a continuation of water talk that we're gonna have. And I will also be hopefully during the budget amendment, potentially asking you for the comprehensive rate study, depending on how our budget to actuals look like. Also roads, which I believe that Kyle and Matt have just done an extraordinary job of keeping us on top of progressive working on that, and then also community development. So built for the next 100 years with those three being the top. And as I was reflecting, one of the things that it really stood out to me is Mayor Mork and then also Kevin really did a great job at like starting that flywheel of funding and sophistication around our STIP, around potentially getting all these projects funded over the long term. And that is where I would like us to go for me, is to do the water, to treat the water the same way. I know we've been working as a Public Works Committee on the WIP, as we're calling it, but the capital improvement plan for the water. And then really, once we get going and you have a chance to look at my staffing plan, asking for a 12 to 24 month position that would let me bring a data person inside, that we could really, and a data/grant person that would really let me start rolling that flywheel, so that potentially our water system would sit similarly positioned as our traffic, which we don't even bother ourselves because we have literally the gold standard team on the case. So as we have the gold standard team on the water case too, but we're not as well funded in that area. So that is pretty much my plan for what you can expect in July. One second thing is I've been talking with Deputy Ball, and this is in response to some of the comments that you all made last time. He will be starting to give me monthly reports and stuff. It won't be the same as the big scope reports. We'll work with undersheriffs and potentially sheriffs on that kind of level, but just giving us a peek behind what is going on. And that's also why I wanted to bring all the other good law enforcement and public safety things that we have going on top of it, because monitoring Argonne and taking care of any potential neighborhood watch issues, and that's more than a 40-hour-a-week job and stuff. So I just wanted to remind us that we have to also use these other services that are going on and stuff, and continue to fortify our relationship with that. Any questions for me? Thank you very much. Council information, no action for discussion. We have nothing under that. Any public remarks for things that were not on our action items? Seeing none? Going once, going twice? Board of Council comments. Kelly Stravens.
Hey, thanks staff, happy early 4th. I thank you staff for keeping up and getting reports out, and comprehensive reports from Kyle and Matt.
Thank you, staff, and I've heard some comments about possible notifications when the streets are being swept so people can get their cars off the street.
Oh.
So it's kind of more on the admin side, but do we have a next door neighborhood account that we can broadcast information on?
We do not, to my knowledge, have a Nextdoor. Do we have a Nextdoor account?
I don't think
I don't think we've used
My
it,
knowledge, I
but I
don't
think
know.
we need to turn the comments off, right, so we don't have to do public records. But use it to broadcast information to the neighborhood, because I've had 2 people say their neighbors have cars parked over the dry wells.
Yeah.
And those
Do
are
we
not
know
even-
what's the, I don't know how much lead time do you have to even know which neighborhoods it?
I could, that's pretty flexible.
Yeah, I mean,
If we did
AAA
a-
is pretty good about telling us when.
If we did a week or something,
Okay.
that'd probably work.
But yeah, people
Yeah.
need advance notice just to get cars off the street and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. I just wanna make sure it was feasible before we
Yeah, I
commit
think
to
it
it.
is. I think, and they usually go through the whole city in 2 to 3 days, so I mean,
So do you think this is a thing that's done at the end of this week? Cause they came through our neighborhood.
yeah, it
Oh,
should
they'll
be.
be there, I think they're done.
Yeah, they might be done
So you're just
now.
talking about in the
In
future?
the future, the neighbors, no, it's too late for this. Like,
Okay, I was like, okay.
they've already been by those cars.
Yeah.
They're just asking for more advance notice next time.
Sounds great. We'll work on
So-
that, and it doesn't happen again until next year?
No, it'll happen again right before Millwood Days usually.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We will get on that. Thank you. Good.
Yeah, I don't wanna introduce open public record stuff, but.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't know if we had an
Nextdoor,
account, but if we
can
do
send
have an account,
emails. Can we send emails?
I think Nextdoor with comments off would probably be the easiest, cause if we do emails, then it's like who signed up for the emails.
Right.
I'm finding out monthly, not everyone gets a utility bill. So some of these like
They don't.
university catch-alls or universally catch-alls are not, and so I would say we just start punting people towards that. I also know people check our website, so we need to get our newsletters and stuff back up on the
We could do
website.
a notification too.
Yeah, they're just asking for like a week in advance, so
That's a
they
great
can
idea.
get stuff off the street.
Perfect,
So we're not paying AAA to go around cars and not clean up the dry wells.
great point, thank you. Anything else, Sean?
That's it.
Awesome. Tina?
Thank you, everybody, staff, for awesome work. Happy Father's Day to all you daddies out there, and happy early 4th.
Wonderful. Thank you.
It's already July almost.
I know. Any announcements? All right, our polite reminder that our next meeting is on July 14th at 6 o'clock, but as we heard in our last meeting, we also have a joint meeting at 5 o'clock with the Planning Commission. Moving to, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, I apologize. Andy, did you have any public comments?
No, hello from South Dakota.
I apologize, Andy. Please.
We have dancing hail and tornado warnings right now, so that's what I'm dealing with.
Well, we thank you for joining us today.
All right, thank you. Good later.
It's okay if I take a vote to adjourn? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Motion moved.